Ready, ready. Come on into that. There we go. All right. So I am super excited, super excited. I'm just going to do a little housekeeping to see who is here with me on my Facebook page. And then I'm going to introduce ourselves here. I got to make sure I stay in the center because I keep leaning to one side. Not used to sharing my screen. So where am I? Where am I? My platforms. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There we are.
So I am
Oops.
super excited.
All right, so I know we're there. Excellent. So we'll keep that on. And I'm sure we're on our YouTube channel as well. So big, big welcome. I'm super excited to be here tonight. For those who do not know me, I'm Reverend Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, your certified holistic personal trainer, intuitive healer, cosmic energy reader, medical astrologer, master of numerology, and the creator of the Chakra Balance Numerology Cosmic Energy Forecast Deck. Yes, it's a really long name. I don't know what I was thinking about, but anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. And today I have a guest with me, and I'm going to let her introduce herself because why not? That's just what we do here. So take it away, Kitty. Introduce yourself.
I don't have as many things to say,
Sure
so
you do.
um, w- we're echoing a little bit. Um, so I'm Kitty Foss. I'm from Intuition of the Soul, and I call myself the energy reading astrologer. And Intuition of the Soul is a platform where we have a variety of people come on board, and we have a lot of things that we do. It was created to have a space for people to look at their spirituality and find and meet like-minded people, and we have speakers come on. And but I'm on today because of my astrology and my great love for astrology. And Joanne, this amazing woman, asked me to come on, and we talk about astrology and numerology all the time, and we're always learning. And she had me come on today because it's going to be quite the year, 2022. Wait till I give her some of these number dates. Watch her eyes go like this.
Exactly. And before we dive in, because we want to dive in, just want to give a shout out to those who are showing up right now on the Facebook page, which there is Sue. Hello, Sue. She's always there. We can always count on Sue being with us live. So, hello, Sue. Nice for you to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I decided that I needed to bring somebody on to share on my group all about this Pluto return because as I say, I'm a medical astrologer, so I really focus on the body and how astrology works with our body. So I don't know that much regarding the more deeper stuff when it comes to astrology, especially the factor on this Pluto return. But what I do know and what I've been reading and watching from a variety of other people who are speaking about it is that there's this information is extremely important and very powerful. And considering I cannot come and share this information with you and provide the insight that all of you are going to need so you can navigate through this, in my mind, I said, who can I connect with that can do this? And the first person that came to my mind was Kitty. Because Kitty and I are always chatting back and forth. And I was like, I have to share out this information. So here we are tonight on Thursday night on what is it, the 16th of December? I cannot freaking believe it's the 16th of December. And also, there's just so much energy that we are moving into after tonight. And I'm sure this Pluto. Now, when does the actual Pluto return start? Or is it already? Like,
The official date, it crosses its original point. We're talking about the United States astrological chart. Um, this is where you're going to watch her eyes go. Actually, the first time, and it's been 248 years since it crossed this point, is February 20th, 2022. See? Look at her eyes.
so February 20th, 2022?
Is the when it we're in the shadow of it now, but that's actually the first time
That it
it
will return.
it where it hits its return. It crosses back over because it goes retrograde, goes back over and comes back. And I know I have the 3 dates because I took the time to write them down
Uh-huh.
in my very messy. Where are you guys? Where are you? Um, oh, so the first time is, I said 2
Yes,
20 20 22,
2022. Yes, exactly,
and
exactly.
the
And now, before we go further, and I'm going to do this a lot, so I want our audience to know that I'm going to interrupt Kitty a lot here, only because for myself, I know this is new for me, so there's a lot, and since Kitty and I have been in the back, in behind the scenes, talking dirty, for the virgins out there who may not know what the heck a Pluto return is, could you just explain that to them? Because there are a handful of people here watching, and there's probably like two or three may not be clear on this just yet. So if you can just explain what a Pluto return actually
sh-
is.
sure. So Pluto is the planet of upheaval. It's about the undeniable ugliness, the dark shadow. It is the eighth house energy of going into the darkness, bringing the light out. It's the archetype of, untouchable, unconceivable. It's about death, birth, transformation. That is the planet of Pluto. Wherever Pluto is, it's about change. So there's fear, because before choices come, fear usually comes first. And so a Pluto return, again, we don't even have one in our own lifetime, um, is when the Pluto that's so we are a circuit. Everybody is the same on the bottom. The planets on the top are always moving, and then you have a chart that's at angles. So a Pluto return is when up here is in the same degree as it was when the birth, and our birth being July 4th, 1776, happened. And that's the important thing to know about this Pluto return is the last time this was going on, it was a revolution. It was a revolution of the colonists. It was about feeling oppressive taxes, oppressiveness, and it was about truce and freedoms. And we're coming into this period in this Pluto return of looking at those upheavals, that ugliness, and looking at creating the life we want to create. And I want to say, Joanne, happy that you invited me because I like to tell this story from your energy, what it is you need to do versus what could happen in the markets and all that, though I'll mention all of that because it is about what can I do so we're empowered.
Yes. So now, when you mentioned about the United States birth, what date was that?
The the most common chart that is used is July 4th, 1776.
Thank you. I needed that number.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about numbers, so I needed a number. Yes.
Well, and so the reason I said there was three is because Pluto, the transit, the one up here that's hitting the one on the chart in the middle, hits it the first time. And then we have retrograde, which we all know about because of Mercury retrograde, which means the
Yes.
planet goes the opposite direction and then it goes back over it again. And so it happens three times next year. But we're in the shadow. We're already starting to feel it because it's at 24 degrees and it's going to cross and it crosses the United States. Pluto is at a real critical degree. It's at the 27th degree, and the 27th degree of any house is the crossing into the mastery level. And this Pluto return. So a planet tells us what the energy is. The sign tells us how that manifests itself. Um, and Pluto is a water sign, so it's about emotions and passion. And the house talks to us about where that conversation happens. And it's in the second house, which is the house of money, values, ethics, ideals, all of those things.
Hmm. And when you say retrograde, are you speaking of Pluto retrograde or are you speaking of Mercury retrograde?
I'm talking about Pluto retrograde. That's why it comes back over it. That's why it crosses that critical point three times.
When is Pluto going to retrograde again?
I don't know. I know it crosses again 7-11 and it crosses again 12-28.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
I thought it was something more recent. I was going to say, I didn't read that
mm-mm.
in my research, so it's
No,
not
no,
recent.
no, no, no. It's
Thank
it's
God.
go it's going forward, which is actually backwards to what we think. It's moves counterclockwise and it crosses on 220. So what's the number on that? Let's just start right there.
Yes, yes. The number on that, I mean, interesting enough, I mean, could we have any more twos? It's one, two, three, four, five. So it's actually a 10. It's a 10, a powerful 10. So when we think about that powerful 10 in numerology, I'm going to focus on the numerology portion and I'm going to let Kitty take care of all the astrology stuff. I'm going to do my best not to fall into the astrology because sometimes I get a little excited and I fumble in there too, but I'll do my best, you know. When we
I'm
think about
sure spirit will take you what it needs you to take you to. So
exactly, exactly. So when we think about 10 in numerology, we're going to break it down to two numbers because both numbers are equally powerful. The one is all about our new beginning and our opportunity to finally be a leader and be independent because so many of us have been sort of following one another as opposed to standing for themselves and making decisions for themselves. And I think what we're seeing recently is a lot of that. And with this, I guess, with this new energy, and as you've said, Pluto's return is going to help change us. So we're all going to be able to step into that independent process and taking control and taking charge. And also, in addition to that zero, it's also reminding us that we do have choices. And I want to say that again, we do have choices. You know, there's so many people out there right now who are thinking they don't have a choice. They feel like they have to do it this way and they can't do it any other way. And this is going to give us the opportunity that, yes, you have a choice. You don't have to follow what so and so is saying. If you feel in your heart and your soul and your gut that this is what you believe in, then you have to stay with that choice as opposed to being led by someone else's choice. So I really do believe this energy, as you said, Kitty, that it really is going to help change every one of us. And some of us are going to take this energy very well because they're used to or want, their psyche is used to wanting to be the leader. And some are going to be very fearful because they've never had an opportunity to make a decision on their own. And it's so interesting because when I say that, the first thing I think of are women of like the older population, where they've always sort of allow the man in the house to make decisions. Where now this is going to be, it's a whole different process now. They can make a decision. They don't have to look over at their partner and say, "So, what should we do?" Oh, I can make that decision myself. I don't need you to tell me what we can do. I mean, I'm open to your advice, but I don't need you to tell me. So that zero is very powerful. And then, of course, when you take the two numbers together, that 10. And this is where I'm going to start it up and then I'm going to lean it over to Kitty. In regards to that 10 energy, it really is about the work that we are all going to be doing. And when I speak of work, I divide it into three sections. The three sections are the work that we're here to do, our physical 9 to 5, if there's going to be anybody in that realm anymore. And also our spiritual work, and then the work that we're doing on our bodies. And that's what I feel this energy is going to be shifting for many of us. We're going to become more attuned and more aligned with the mind body spirit aspect. Where I was actually chatting with somebody earlier today, and we were talking about the fact that there's so many people that's so disconnected with their mind and their body that, like, if we can get this image of like the big heads because the mind is overloaded and the very tiny bodies because no one's paying attention to the body. And now here we get to switch that a little bit. So now more of the astrology part. Kitty, tell us about that 10 number in astrology.
well, first of all, the 10th house is the house of advancement. And the first house is the house, because of the one, the first house is the house that's your storefront. That's how I step into the world. That's where your ascendant lives, your very important part of you. Very interestingly, in this period of time, we are going to be crossing over that ascendant. Pluto is going to, and we have some of those same critical degrees, and our ascendant is Sagittarius. Just to give you an idea of how things can play up on the stars. So, 9/11, Pluto. Pluto is always a powerful player. Pluto was in a flip flop relationship with Saturn. Saturn is our structures. Pluto crossed over our ascendant, our very core of self, in a sign called Sagittarius, which is a fire energy. Keep this in mind. I'm talking about 9/11. And it's the fire energy of travel, of flight, of truth. Um, and so it's a change of flight, a change of truth. Saturn was in Gemini. Saturn is the sign of structures, of the buildings, and Gemini is the twins. It's pretty literal. Flight, fire, building, and twins. Those were the energy of that day.
Yes. And then we sit back and we wonder, why did this happen?
You know,
When we really do follow astrology and numerology, it really does make sense. It really does. And it's like one of those situations where when you follow the astrology and numerology, there really is no accident or there is no coincidence. Everything is in alignment for a reason. And also believing that too, because of 9/11, and when you think of those numbers, 9/11, 9 is all about surrender, let go, transform. And 11 is about the whole process of mastering our relationships.
mm-hmm.
So when you bring those two numbers, I mean, it's powerful within itself and everything that we had to experience. Now, yes, grant you, it was horrific for many, if not all, in regards to the loss that many experienced during that time frame. But it's like anything else, and what blows my mind is we're so hyper focused right now on people dying. But when we really think about it, doesn't people die every day? Transition every single day? Why is it that we're so focused on it right now?
It's very interesting too because when you go to 9/11, so for people that are skeptic, well, you can manipulate anything to do it. Um, this is the science of this. If you and you can check this out at heartmath.com, which studies how the heart and there are random number generating machines, seven or 14 around the world. And the closest they've ever come in the pattern being the same, not exactly the same, but the same sequence of numbers was on 9/11 in that 2 hour window.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'll be interested to see what the facts were from 2020. Astrologers looked at 2020 for many years and wondered what they knew it was going to be something. They knew that, first of all, the 2020, the focus, learning to see different, um, and they knew that the planets, the Pluto was conjunct Saturn again, so it was taking structures apart. And here was Jupiter, the structures apart so we can expand. And so, what was that going to mean? Nobody came up with a pandemic, but
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And when we think of the word expand, what does that actually mean for some? I mean, expanding means like expanding to a higher vibration. And when we think about a higher vibration, sometimes that vibration can be so intensified that some of us, yes, get to vibrate here on earth, and then some have to transition back home. That expansion, that they've done what they came to do, and it's time to go home. At least that's how it makes sense to me. How about for you?
yeah, expansion in your chart to me is exactly what you need to happen to become bigger, that vibration that is larger, and that what you're called to be, you know. Um, and it's interesting though, because Saturn is actually the planet of constriction. So here was the planet of constrictions to expand, with Pluto in the middle, changing everything, death, transformation, rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been there is a higher vibration right now of death because of this pandemic, and we're paying more attention. but there's a rebirth in that. And for many people, it is, what do they want to be, you know? Um, and experiencing it myself, having had COVID, it was an amazing. It's chronic inflammation, and it's an amazing push to be in your body and to be where you are in the moment.
Yes.
It,
And it's interesting, like the woman I was chatting with earlier today, one of my acupuncturists, and I have several. So depending on where they are at the time, and she and I were chatting because she too had COVID, and she was explaining to me that when one has COVID, how it sits in the body, what part of the body that it's sitting in. So, for example, someone has COVID, maybe feeling it more, let's say, in the respiratory. Some other might be feeling it more in the head. Some might be feeling it more in the joints. So, depending on where the weakest link is in the body chamber, is where the COVID is going to magnetic to. And then when you think about the body chamber, you think about the chakras, it's then also giving what we call like a chakra activation based on the energy that's going on, as Kitty said, going within. During COVID, when you have COVID, what's the first thing you have to do? You have to isolate. You have to stay quiet. You have to give yourself that opportunity to sort of reboot your energy. And you're not just rebooting the physical energy, but you're rebooting the chakra system in which that virus has actually set into, such as if it is respiratory, it's the chest. If it is in the head, it's the crown. If it's the sinuses, we're looking at the third eye. Some could have a very heavy cough, it's the throat. And it could be focusing more in the joint area, in like hips and knees. And then we're looking at root and sacral. So really depending on where it sits for each person and how something so general for everybody who's gotten COVID is so different. Because as you said, Kitty, you had it in your head. Other people have mentioned that they felt the respiratory. Others have felt it in their hips. So depending. And a lot of it is, from my point of view, it really is about a chakra activation, where it's helping to open up the chakra system on a deeper level.
yeah, for me, it was getting in touch with my sacral chakra, in survival, and that's where I needed to go because, frankly, I couldn't spend very much time up here. I needed to go somewhere else to kind of move through. And that's what we're kind of looking at with this new Pluto return. This is a major shaking up in the next level, this physical. I mean, I'm not here to say, oh, it's going to be easy, because
Well,
it's
no,
not. Um,
no,
it is the death of life in the United States as we know it. That's not a bad thing,
no.
because it's about death and transformation. It's about, we've been eroding at the American dream. Now, I'm not going to be political, though some people will hear this and they'll hear the political, and then, you know, um, you'll have to look at your own beliefs around this. But the American dream has been slowly eroding. And when this took place last time, we were trying to get away from taxes, trying to get away from, there really wasn't a reason we should have won the Revolutionary War. Um, basically the British were too busy. So in a lot of ways, and so it was the same kind of thing. This is an uprising from the masses of what is it we want. And Pluto is about the angel of death. It's often about the archetype of mass wealth gathering, and they seem to be untouchable, unscrewable, on whatever. We have that in our country, looking at how our wealth is distributed. And they came up with the three: all men are created equal. But their version of all men created equal were white landowners. And so, one nation under God. Well, the definition of God and source, you know, is has changed. What was the definition then? and the land of the free in a time where they had slaves, because you were free if you were a white male. Um, and so there is a reckoning coming around what that original uprising um, was be. And Pluto's job is to destroy the illusions and rebirth, transform. And so, what's going to be really, really important is, like all cycles, what is the space we hold? What is the world we create? We know, going to the science, that the lower vibrations of sadness and anger measure more densely, and laughter, singing, joy vibrations resonate out higher.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as things, because it's going to be in the house of economics, in the house of ethics, in the house of values. Saturn is about our structures. Pluto is about moving our structures. Our structures and our expansion, though, are in this humanitarian sign of Aquarius. They're
Mm.
in epiphanies and things coming to light and truths being told, and about the humanitarian restructuring for a better world, for really all men created equal, one nation. And so, um, just to give you an idea, when England, one of the longest civilizations that we can measure, um, single civilization, had their first Pluto return when they had first government. It's so funny, Joanne, because I would run around for years. People would say that's 1066, and I'd go, Battle of Hastings. For some reason, that battle has always stayed in my head. Only recently did I find out, because that's when the English Empire was established.
Mm.
So there was a piece of synchronicity now that I understand. That is when the feudal system and the kings stepped forward, that Battle of Hastings. And so when you look at that part of civilization, so when Pluto is in its return, it's strong, it's powerful. And here I am running around remembering the Battle of Hastings, not even knowing it was all about Pluto,
There
all
you
these
go.
years.
There you
And
go.
so we are refocusing the American dream. We're refocusing our values, our ethics, our money, our looking at the people that are untouchable and, excuse the expression, screwable. Is that really what we want? This is a rise. We don't know what this means, but there's going to be new declarations of what it is to be independent. And we know we have two clear, just like we had British and American, clear pieces. And um, how we're going to evolve also depends on what vibration we hold for humanity, that we
Yes.
hold that vibration that goes out. Um, so it's an upheaval time coming up,
Hmm.
but it's a good time
Yes.
too.
So when we think about the Pluto return on an individual level, depending on each person's placement of where Pluto is on their chart, will each person have a, so I like to always use the term, a different theme that they're going to be, that unconsciously and consciously they might be focusing on due to this Pluto return, or is it going to be pretty much the same for all of us?
Well, it's always, Pluto is always traveling, so it's always activating yours. So here's what I would say about your chart. Look at your second house, your lessons in your second house. What energy is on your second house? That will be a player. Mine happens to be Aquarius, happens to be that humanitarian player. Second house is ruled by Taurus. Second house wants you to be stable, wants you to be determined. Um, this is going to be a time to really look at your beliefs. This is a great time to work with people like Byron Katie. Do I really know that's true? When I say this is what the truth is, and if not, um, when you hold on to beliefs so strongly, you can cause suffering mainly for yourself. And again, there's your vibration. So to answer your question, I look at it as, what's your energies? What do you want to hold? I would look at where my Pluto is. My house, Pluto, happens to be in the eighth house of change, but it's in Virgo. So mine's about what are the little things that I can do to hold the change. So those would be the things I looked at. My second house, where's my Pluto, and anything at 27 degrees. Anything in your chart that's at 27 degrees has a potential. There we go. 27, 9.
Nine. Yes.
galactic number. Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Nine. Learning to surrender, learning to let go, and that
oh, that's perfect about your beliefs. Let go. Is it?
exactly. It
Yeah.
sits parallel to the belief system. And if
Hmm.
again, when we think about the last 2 years, everything that we've experienced in regards to when COVID started and within this year, in regards to things that we had to give up, like the traditions, especially like, for example, last Christmas. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know for me, going through family traditions that we've been doing since little kids. Some of them are really great traditions, and then other traditions are like, do we really need to do this? And here we had it last year where we were forced not to do it. And how many people were really excited about the fact that they didn't have to do it, but because they were so excited about not having to do it, it was like, here we are coming this year. How many people are looking forward to doing it? Now, it comes back to, is this your belief system, or is this something that you've been born into, and does it really match your vibration?
Right. Because we're in this second house, this house of two balance, this house of beliefs. What are my values? And, it's really important. Now, to answer your question, I had COVID over Christmas. And so I was just kind of in survival mode. And so I was looking around I'm a decorator. I had done that before I actually got sick. And, being the Pluto and Virgo, will I be here next Christmas, kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
Not knowing, um, because Pluto and Virgo is also about the body systems always.
Yes.
And uh, it is was an interesting thing, but 2020 was a focus of our vision. 2021 was stepping into who we were becoming, and 2022 is really about owning that. The other thing that's happening up here that is a helpful player that didn't exist at the Revolutionary War is that the North Node, the soul's goal for the world, is in that same Taurus, that determination of, I want to be stable. I want to figure out what this is. I want to get on with my life and do what I need to do in this collectiveness. Letting go of beliefs is not easy. They're quite insidious. They
Yes.
they they work their way in, and so working and finding people who help you question, is that really true? Can I let that go? Because what happens when I let it go? My suffering stops. I don't have to fight for it. I don't have to, you know. Um,
Yes. Yes. And then we also gotta remind ourselves that there are many, many people out there that are so used to suffering that
mhm.
if they were to let go of suffering, what would they focus on if they didn't suffer? So sometimes it really is about some a person may not want to let go of the suffering because it's like, well, I'm so used to that, and if there's nothing to suffer about, what do I focus on? We have that end of that end of the stick too.
You know,
Where this could become a challenge, and it's like Kitty said early on in with this Pluto return. This is not going to be a easy process of just shifting everything around. It's going to be the part of work to shift everything around, like
you know,
anything.
one of the astrologers I follow, Pam Gregory, does a very good job about she talks about this as a new economic system. But that includes your economic system. What your money, your value is the number as important as what I'm doing. What am
Yes.
I doing? Putting my energy in. This is a vortex. It's funny because we both go to a Tuesday night spirit class, and a couple weeks ago, everyone kept going, getting this vortex. This is a vortex. This is a demolishing and sweeping away the things that keep us from being a bigger part of humanity. This is a rise of the people you know, and where before it was about oppressive taxes, though there would be people that argued there's still oppressive taxes. Um, it is how we take care of each other. It is maybe looking at different changes in our medical system. We're certainly going to be overhauling that. um, why is so little of the money, the wealth, in so few hands? That's what was going on back then, too. That, we felt we weren't represented, we felt we weren't heard. And it is so important now, this is a shift in our government, a redoing. Meanwhile, we got Venus, who's helping us move wicked fast right now, in this also in this Capricorn energy that has us rethinking our relationships, including the biggest relationship, the one with ourselves.
Exactly.
That's that's going on right now, and that goes from, it started on the 11th and it goes to the 2nd of January, which is a long time for Venus to be in a sign,
And it will
and
be retrograde.
and it will be
It
retrograde.
will be
Yes.
retrograde. Yeah, it starts retrograde on this Sunday, the 19th.
Right. The 19th is a really big day because guess what? It does it at 26 point something, almost that 27th degree yet again.
Yeah,
So it's crossing over our natal Pluto. So
exactly.
it's changing the structure of even our own relationships with wealth, with money. Um,
Hmm. Yes.
it'll be interesting. We'll have volatile markets
Yeah,
going on there for a while. That's part.
exactly. And when we think about it, where this energy of Venus going retrograde towards the end of December and will be in retrograde in January. So it's like we're putting a magnifying glass on the relationships at the end of the year and moving into the new year of 2022, where we can start really focusing on the relationship. And again, it's the relationship we have with others, but also the biggest one, as Kitty says, the relationship we have with ourselves. And also, and because again, as a holistic personal trainer, this is my emphasis, this is my focus, the relationship we have in our body.
Hmm.
What do we do to our body? How are we treating our body? What and how are we moving the body? How are we working in our body? Does our body work for us? And that's going to be on the table as well.
And that's become such an important focus personally for me. Um, and I know for a lot of people is coming to understand that this is the soul work, spiritual work in a dynamic conversation to learn from the physical, to learn from the body. It's not, like you said, giant head, little body. It's a conversation going back and forth. Here's another number for you. Venus crosses over um, that exact degree of Pluto. So the 20th. So there is sitting Pluto on Pluto, the transiting Pluto, and Venus on the 3rd of March. Within how many days then? 3. So it's February. Oh no, February. Is this a leap year?
No.
Okay, so it's only the 28th. So it's within 4 days, 5 days. It's crossing back over. So
Now, if it would have waited an extra day, it would have crossed over on my birthday.
ah, but they're all going to be stacked right there. And by the way, Mars is hanging out there and a few other things. So that's a powerful that it's a powerful 6 months. But that very end of February into the early part of March is extremely. Um, one of the things we can do is whatever's going on in the media world, you be the observer. We
Yes,
are not our thoughts. We are not our feelings. Be the
exactly.
observer. Uh, we need to be involved, but we don't need to be exactly drawn into it. Again, can I step into a better space to hold a higher vibration for all of us?
Exactly.
So,
And I just want to come back to that date for just a second, March 3rd for
mhm.
2022, because I love numbers. So we're looking at 3 3, 3 3 plus 6. So it works out to be a 12, which then breaks down to be a 3 again. But before we even go to there, we got the 3 3. So here we are at that master number of where we are actually the master teacher of how we want to teach each and every one of us. This whole process of creating, as what I'm hearing is like creating this unity to do what it is we're supposed to do with our bodies.
Mhm.
So I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
No, no. I mean, there are so many. It was very interesting doing some of this research when Saturn was conjunct Pluto, because we're talking about Pluto, so that was change and structure. When it first crossed a retrograde during the end of Libra, it first, uh, Saturn crossed for a little bit and then went back. Um, I'm sorry, it's Sagittarius piece. Um, that was when we elected our first black president. That was when we had the next 12 years. Um, so I mean, there are changes, and there is going to be a fight to try to keep what the original thoughts were on that
Oh yeah.
Constitution.
Oh yeah. Well, because again, that comes back to being comfortable, being in the know of what was. And there's so many who are very uncomfortable with the unknown. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where we're moving into, is with all these changes that are coming in. I mean, when we think about the 12 energy is a cycle of change, of ending. When we think about the 12, I mean, when we talk about astrology, it's the 12th house, it's tying up those loose ends.
Yeah, and 12th house, by the way, because that's what's happening now, is the house of secrets, the unconscious to the conscious. And so that is the last before we step back into to the next cycle of who we are. And so it really is about who we are. Who do you want to be? And again, the energy, you can look for Pluto in your chart. You can look what's on your second house. You can look where your Venus is. You can start to look at where these players are and the elements they're in. Pluto is a water sign. Pluto is the water sign of the swamp. We don't want to go swimming in the swamp.
No, no.
No, but we know that there's stuff teeming underneath it. And this is shadow work for the United States. This is going into the darkness and bringing the lights out. What are the good things we really do want to hold on to? Do we want uh, all men are created equal? All people are created equal. Um, and this is about removing judgments. Meanwhile, we've got our South Node in Scorpio. I like uh, Pam Gregory explains it this way. So for the world, what we're asking souls to go into is the Scorpio Pluto energy is pulling out the flowers by the roots. And this new energy, this Taurus energy, is putting new dirt to grow new things in. And
Yeah,
that's what this whole soul energy is calling during this Pluto return while things are
exactly.
being pulled apart. What's the
Exactly.
dirt I want to put in?
Exactly. Earlier today, when working with one of my clients, he was sharing with me. Obviously, it's holiday season. Many people have decorations out, decorations such as lights. And he was sharing with me. He was actually asking me if I felt that with all the lights that are out, the decorations, if that might be one of the reasons why so many of us in the evening hours when we should be sleeping are not sleeping, because as I always say, it's like the light that brings us out of the darkness. And I truly believe that with all the decorations that are out this month, it's helping the spirits come out, it's helping us come out, it's helping us to wake up in the middle of the night when we are more vulnerable enough to connect with spirit, which is helping us to really, as I like to say, discover who we are. I mean, we spoke about this in the Tuesday night group in regards to taking notice of what time it is when we do wake, because in that time slot, it can provide a message that spirit wants us to know, and then also connect it to what chakra it may be associated with to help us regarding the message and what it is we're supposed to be uncovering, so we can really, as we pull the root out and plant the new root, we can then really understand what that new energy is, where that new energy is taking us to, and work with it as opposed to being afraid of it. I mean, theoretically speaking, if you met me 10 years ago, yeah, 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago, we probably would not be able to have this conversation, only because I did not have the wisdom that I have today to have this conversation.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either. Yeah.
Yeah, and sitting back and evaluating that person who I was 10, 11 years ago and looking at myself now, I'm like, wow, that's a whole lot of new roots that were planted in. I can only imagine, and I'm looking really forward to it, to seeing what more new roots come about and what I'm going to sound like in, let's say,
Hmm.
another 10 years from now. Like what more wisdom is going to show up for me in this Pluto return. So I'm very excited, and I can
I've
only
drawn
imagine.
my guides have drawn, and I it's the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, our government and who we are. We looked at our past and the things that brought us, and the places we picked up beliefs that didn't serve us, how we were living right now in this present, and the lesson of I will not be the man I once was, you know,
Exactly.
and
Exactly. And
and
the good
keep.
point is, I mean, based on myself, for me to even think about going back to what I was 10 years ago, I can't even imagine that being that I'm able to do that. To even go back to what I was 10 years ago. And why would I want to? You
Right.
know? So, what I like to do for some, I think there's a handful of people on our Facebook page. If they're still with us, invite them that if they have any questions, to post their questions in the comments, and then I'll read out the questions, and then Kitty can answer them if any of you have any questions. So take that opportunity since we're about 46 minutes in, and I know Kitty and I can spend the entire night having a conversation here. We probably could, but I don't think Stream would really like the two of us to be here for 5 hours.
And I'm pretty sure nobody would watch it in a replay.
Exactly. Exactly.
If they're
Yeah,
like me, they would go 5 hours. Oh no, not
exactly.
watching it.
Exactly. And ideally, in regards to why I chose tonight to bring this information, this insight to the platform, is again to help everyone to understand these changes that are actually going on, and not to fear the changes, but to understand them and appreciate the changes. Because every one of us, are experiencing a change somewhere in our life, somewhere on our chart. And I always believe our chart is our life, because if you understand your astrology chart, it can definitely help you, guide you, navigate you through whatever it is you're going to be doing. There is no surprise from my
Now,
point of view.
Pluto is ruled by the eighth house. So let's look at the eighth energy. What is eight?
Eight in numerology is all about abundance, balance, our karmic cycles that we have to learn, our karmic lessons. It's also about our achievements, our success, our awards, our accomplishments, and finding that balance between as I like to call it, our ego and our spiritual wisdom, and also finding that balance between the spiritual world and the human world. Being able to work with both.
That conversation, that dynamic conversation, body and spirit, and because that would be what we're to pay attention to during this eight cycle. This does not. So it's already we're Pluto has been in Capricorn for a while, and we through 2020 through think of what
Oh
these
yeah,
last couple
April
of years have been.
27th to be exact.
Yeah,
April 27th.
is when it and it doesn't leave until 11/24 of 2024. Look at the fours in there, you
Oh,
know,
say that date again.
11/24/2024.
Oh my goodness gracious. I can't add this much up in my head. Oh my god.
So that eight energy, this balance, looking for abundance, but still understanding, you know, uh, that's why it's going to be also about the economy, resetting, redoing,
That
um,
works out, by the way, to a 7.
inner work.
Yeah, in the work. In the work, which makes a lot of sense, because when we think of Pluto and we think of Capricorn, Capricorn is all about the work. All about the work that we're here
The
doing.
structure, yep.
Exactly. So going in, taking that time to go in. And when we think about the universal energy, the collective energy, we're looking at an 8 energy year, which,
Yep.
so it's like, yeah, it's about doing the inner work in reference to how you feel about your success, your achievements, your awards, your work, your karmic lessons. So Sue says here, she wrote a paragraph. She's looking at Pluto and the planet of shadows, and me doing the class on the shadow self. The class is in the 17th, equals 8. This is getting powerful. I'm hoping Pluto will be with me as I teach this class. I'm sure Pluto is going to be with you while you teach this class.
Well, it's an amazingly important subject looking at your shadow work, because that's looking at those beliefs, those kind of insidious things. And, Sue, we're going to be seeing that in the other world, where people are holding on to their beliefs and they're right fighters, and that's the suffering. And we're moving out of this Piscean age, which was about the suffering at the lowest, ascended masters at the highest, to this collective humanitarian. And just so people understand the dense energy that people may get stuck in the age of Aquarius will seem cold, and that people don't care. And that's that energy. That's just like the suffering that was part of Pisces. So it is about getting people to connect and be here, that we are walking us home together, all of us.
Yes, yes. So with all that being said, for those who are watching with us live and those who will be watching on the replay, those who are watching on YouTube, if you have any further questions, Kitty's email address is strolling on the bottom there, intuitionofthesoul11@gmail.com. Feel free, and actually I wrote that email wrong. I just realized that. It's supposed to be .com, not a little comma there. Sorry about that. I just realized, yeah, because I was squinting when I was writing. Yeah.
We had a conversation about wear her glasses, but you can see what happens with glasses, you reflect.
Exactly, yes. So that email of Kitty's again is intuitionsoul11@gmail.com. You can
and
reach out.
It actually does say intuition of soul instead of intuition of the soul.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So it's supposed to be of the soul. Okay, I screwed that all up.
It's all right. Yeah. Intuition of the soul at 11@gmail.com.
There you go. Yes. So please.
And you can find us on Facebook and leave us a message too. So
yes, exactly. And with that being said, also definitely connect with Kitty on Facebook, because she's got that amazing group, Intuition of the Souls, that meets every Tuesday night. Kitty does so many amazing classes and services, and she just came from an amazing live group with, I think it was animal communication.
Yeah.
Which was beautiful. So she does a lot. So you definitely want to connect with her so you can learn about all the amazing things that she does do. So please
with my partner Amy Martin.
Yes, with Amy, which is just as lovely as well. We should have made this a threesome.
Oh, there we go again. Yeah. Except we came to talk about the astrology.
Yes. Exactly. So with all that being said, I want to thank everybody for taking their time out to be with us this evening, or taking the time out to watch on the replay, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, or on the Facebook page. We'll be sharing this on the Intuition of the Soul page as well. I'll definitely get that over there to you. And Kitty, any final words you'd like to leave everybody with?
I just, just as you were saying, it is so important that 8 energy, that we consciously make our decisions about how we step into this. And if you need to take time away because it gets crazy, take the time away so you can hold that higher space, so that we can evolve the way we want to, even if it starts to seem like there's no way. It will shift.
Yes. And if you've never had an astrology reading, or if you have, I highly recommend that you reach out to Kitty for one, because she can definitely shed some light for you regarding your chart and what all this actually means. Because again, I truly believe when you know your astrology information, it is the GPS. It navigates, it helps. There's really no mystery behind anything once you understand where all of this is placed on your chart. And as I use it, it really does help set the goals, understand the intentions, so things can move a little more smoothly. Not that I'm saying that having your astrology chart is going to make everything manifest like this. You still have to do the work. It's part of
Hmm.
the process. So
Well, and
definitely
and Joanne, I so appreciate your approach of that dynamic conversation. Really, Joanne was the first person that had me actually think about it in that way, as opposed to they were very separate. And her cards are absolutely amazing. I use them all the time. They're my actually go-to deck now. So because they are that astrology piece, that numerology piece, that all of those other pieces. So.
yes, because it's all connected, as we all are. It's all
Hmm.
connected, and when we can learn about our astrology, our numerology, and our chakras, wow.
Right. And, reach out to people. We found each other. We'll continue to bring more people in. It really is important to find people that support you during this. No man is an island. This is the age of Aquarius, when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars. Peace shall guide the planets and
Exactly.
love steer the
Exactly.
stars.
And no one is alone. Everyone
No.
has support. Everyone's in the light. We're all shining light on one another to support and bring all of us like-minded folks together so we can learn. Like I said, I didn't this was not my specialty. So I knew I wanted to share it and I was like I need to bring somebody on to share this. And this is where Kitty comes in. So we don't know everything and that's okay. And it's good to know, it's good to admit you don't know everything because could you imagine if I knew everything? My God.
Well, and there's so many levels of astrology. If you're very interested in the world, there are people to follow that um, do the more global piece of it. China's coming into a big year. There's a lot of things happening. I just like to talk about it, what it means for us, our
Exactly.
energy, like how to put my
Exactly.
feet on the floor and walk. you
Exactly.
know.
In fact, there's a woman whom I follow on Facebook. She does business astrology. It's quite amazing. She has different specific days where she has specific questions that each individual can ask regarding their business and how it all plays a role as well. It's very very interesting. I was like, oh, business astrology, interesting.
Hmm.
Lots of different categories. So,
Right.
Kitty, I'd like to thank you for being here because
Thank you for
again,
inviting me.
I
I
learned
really
a lot
appreciate it.
tonight, and I'm so excited to share this out to everybody and get everyone to know that things are changing as they should.
Yes.
So
And thank you,
thank you,
Joanne, for caring and continuing to bring us information. So,
thank you, and thank you to all our viewers who are watching replay or live with us. Have yourself an awesome night, everyone.
namaste.
Namaste.